So guys, welcome back to the Xupes Watches YouTube channel, and we're coming at you today from the barn with an absolute icon. It is of course the Day-Date from Rolex. This is the 1803 reference. Let's get into it. So what is it about the Day-Date that makes it unique? The Day-Date was a technological revolution. In 1956, for the very first time in watchmaking history, we saw a day and a date visible on the dial. It was the reference 6511, and it had the date at 3 and the day at 12 in this very elegant window which we see here in multiple languages, so it wasn't just in English we saw this. The Day-Date was in essence the very first time that Rolex had fun. We got to see lots of different dial colour executions, different dial material executions, and back in 2020 we saw Rolex having fun with these stellar dial inspired Oyster perpetuals. And so while we had the high level of innovation from a technical perspective and a functional perspective back in 56, when we talk about the Day-Date and specifically the 1803 reference, there are a number of key design elements that we need to talk about. Firstly, we've got the fluted bezel, we've got the Oyster case, the very first case designed to be used in water. We've got the President bracelet with these polished central links, which we know was linked to the famous JFK. The icon that he was, the design icon, the president, the philanthropist. We've then got this wonderful sort of flat colored dial. So we haven't got the sunburst dials we tend to see these days. We've got this very restrained, very elegant, I would say pastel design dial, which was offset beautifully, I think, with this yellow gold case. Of course, the Day-Date was only available in precious metals, so we've got yellow gold, we've got rose gold, we've got platinum, and for me, it really goes to living into its best self in this yellow gold. It really is that design statement. It's unashamedly the Day-Date, and it's unashamed of what it is. And the thing that's really curious and interesting to me about the Day-Date is that design has to stand for something. A design that doesn't elicit any emotion, really to me and to many others, isn't worth anything. And the Day-Date, love it or loathe it, stands for something. I'm not sure that back in the 1950s the designers at Rolex ever thought that it would carry so much weight. From JFK to Jay-Z, the 1803 Day-Date from Rolex has become a cultural icon that really transcends watchmaking. Now, moving on to this reference specifically, the 1803, it was produced from the 60s through to the late 70s. This reference that we are excited and proud to have in stock is from 1973. And for me, what really sets it apart from others is this incredible balance between the yellow gold case and bracelet and this beautiful matte pastel blue dial. But what's really interesting is that references of the Day-Date before this are so difficult to get hold of. We simply don't have that many in stock. Now we do, on the odd occasion, get great examples like this of the 1803, which really was the start of that journey for the Day-Date to become the icon that it is today. What I particularly love about this reference that we have in stock here today is that the case hasn't been over polished. The Oyster case is still in very good condition, as is the dial and bracelet. But for me, the Day-Date has to speak. In fact, it has to shout. And that's what it does in yellow gold with this beautiful matte pastel blue dial. It's a wonderful, wonderful combination, and it's one that will be guaranteed to be a conversation starter on the wrist. What's really interesting is that the first reference from Rolex of the Day-Date was 1956. It wasn't until we saw the introduction in 1972 of the reference 1556 which allowed us to have a hacking seconds on the Day-Date. For those unaware of what the hacking seconds complication adds to the usability of a watch, it is of course when you pull the crown out, the seconds hand stops dead. It allows you to set the time more accurately. So I can hear you asking at home, why is the 1803 so popular? Well, I think it's a combination of factors. Firstly, we've had this real rise in interest in vintage, and it comes from our passion and reverence to the past. These are culturally significant items, I believe, and people are buying back that love. They want a little piece of that history. And we've also then got the 1803 reference itself, which, while it was produced through the 60s and 70s, meant that it was relatively high numbers of production and relatively varied types of execution. One of the really interesting pieces for me here is that you have a combination of fascinating dial colors, dial executions, materials, and you have lots of different case and bracelet executions. So the real fun is looking for an 1803 that fits your character perfectly. So to conclude, this reference is available at Xupes.com right now for £12,999. It's in fine condition. So with all of that being said, this particular 1803 is for me the perfect example of what a day-date is. It is a bold piece of innovation and design, it's a strong value proposition, and it's something that I believe will only get more and more interesting as the years go by. So there we have it, folks, the Day-Date 1803 in yellow gold blue dial. Thank you as always for joining me. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, do hit subscribe and of course hit the bell to be notified of all of the new videos from Xupes. Until next time, go well.